Hi, guys, and welcome once again to the Leading with Love podcast. It's an interview day today, and I'm so excited for you to meet this gentleman. We've been trying to get him on the show for a while and just misconnecting in terms of timing. And of course, it's all perfect. And today, I'm welcoming a person who's a dear friend of mine, Scott Brandon Hoffman. But you guys, you're gonna love him so much. I know him personally, and he's very dear to me. So I'm going to be asking him certain questions so that he can share who he is with you. But even if I was completely silent, he would come on and he would just blow you away with his heart and his soul and just the incredible spirit that he is. So I'm looking forward to this conversation. Neither of us have any agenda in terms of what we want to talk about. We just know that we're showing up with our whole hearts and ready to have a conversation that will hopefully just light you guys up as well, because being lit up is the favorite topic of for both of us. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So let's rock and roll. And I'm going to bring on the founder and host of the Mostly Conscious Late Night Show and many other things. You can hear Scott laughing in the green room. Let's bring him on. Scott Brandon Hoffman, everybody.
Oh,
Woohoo!
woo! I'm so excited. Oh my God, I just got lit up watching you. Like, I'm like,
Yeah,
woohoo! Like, get
love
the
it.
energy flowing, get the
Yeah.
vibration rising up. Let's go. And it's funny, I always laugh.
Ah.
I always laugh for some reason. I always laugh like when people, I haven't heard other people say that because I always do it's like the mostly conscious late night show. And it's like
Well, you
seeing
have
someone
quotes
else
around
do
it on
it.
your
It,
show,
it,
right?
it makes me crack up. It makes me crack up hearing someone else say it. So
Well,
that
you
was
know
cool.
what? It's the perfect name because if it was called the Conscious Late Night Show, it would almost be a little too serious. And
Which
because
is what it
you,
was. It's what
yeah,
it was
oh,
before
I
I
didn't know
changed it.
that.
Yeah,
I
back a
didn't know
couple
that.
years ago, the first round I did it, like the first season of interviews I did, it was called the Conscious Late Night Show, and I
Oh,
had this intuition come through, and it was like, wait, the mostly conscious late night show, and I just started giggling, and I'm like,
I
that's going to
love
open up to
that.
a much wider audience, and it makes it
Wow.
a little more fun, a little more light, because it could be too serious the other way, you know?
Right. And you would lose a lot of people who love entertainment
Right,
and
right,
just think that it's all about consciousness, but it's so much more. And you,
yeah,
Scott
yeah,
Brandon Hoffman, yourself are so hilarious, and you love humor and you love laughing. So it's like a little
correct,
nod to the humor side of things while
100.
being obviously about consciousness and like presence and all the things, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
Well, I would love you to tell people about that show because we'll dive into other things, but it's so
Yeah,
amazing. I love it so much. And it's like, wait, before you start, I just want to share because it's a fleeting thought, but it's really important.
go for it.
You and your conscious, mostly conscious late night show.
Yeah.
Nobody ever anywhere can do this but you. Your
Mm,
personality and your skill set and your presence and your spirit, who you are, and the way that you engage with people, and how creative you are, but also love to showcase other people's creativity and like bounce off of them. And, um, the energy that just crackles when it's people together. You have all of that so beautifully that it's your show so through and through that no one
yeah.
else could do it. And I love that.
Mm.
I love that so much. So yeah, tell us about it.
That's so awesome. So, oh my God, like where do you start on something like that? I think probably what comes to fruition for me before going into the actual like what the show is and how it came to fruition. I think it's good to go back a little bit and go, there was a time in my life where, I was born an artist. I had an artist soul. I always say it's like I was born with an artist soul, and I was always the guy. I had like I was getting paid professionally as a photographer at 10. I was playing piano at 5. I was always the comedian and the cut up in the family, and I was deeply introspective, and I always wanted to be creative. But I was in a family that was very entrepreneur based, very kind of old school, and it was nurtured to a degree when I was little, but when it came time to go out into the world, it was kind of like let go. So I ended up not wanting. I was going to go to music school and film school and all that kind of stuff. And I was told by my dad, it's like, you can't make any money with that stuff, man. It's like, go get a real job or whatever. And so, I listened to it like because I didn't believe in myself enough at that point and did not have any nurturing. And plus
Wow.
my father was extremely intimidating and scary in his own
Okay.
way. He was big heart, but he was a rageaholic. So
Oh.
and I wanted to please him, so I ended up going got a finance degree, became a stock trader, made $1 million like in the
Ooh.
first year and a half, and there was this moment where I worked hard to get there too. Like I worked super hard to be one of the people in the club and the pit because
Right.
those trading pits are not friendly. Let me tell
Right.
you, like it took me months and months to even like get past people just like throwing shit at me and
That must have been
speaking.
very much against your
Uh,
personality type,
it
I guess, your soul.
it was, but also keep in mind back then I was completely unconscious. I had no tools.
Mm.
I was not meditating yet, nothing, and that's leading to what actually happened. So there was a moment where I went back. I had this great year. I went into the pit one day, and instead of being in the front where I always was, like being in the top club, I stood in back that day, and I heard the bell ring. And it reminds me of like if anyone saw the movie Trading Places, it was kind of like that. Like people were just screaming, yelling, "Buy, stay!"
Right.
And I just sat there, and it was like all of a sudden it was like everything was in slow motion, and I'm just watching
Ooh.
people like back and forth, like screaming and yelling for money. And I heard this voice in my head, and it literally just said, "You don't belong here anymore."
Yo.
And I walked out and I walked away from that gig that I worked so hard for. It was like $100,000 a month, pretty much guaranteed gig.
Wow.
And I had opportunities to take it like to a 5 and 10x and bigger levels because I was
Right.
getting job opportunities and stuff because I was really good at what I did. And so, anyway, long story short, then I went on this whole. That started my awakening process. That started me in like I started
It's a pretty big
reading
one.
Wayne Dyer, Tony Robbins. There was always a conflict. It was always like, is it Rumi today or is it like Brendan Burchard? Like it's like,
Oh,
where am I going with all
wow.
this stuff? And as I started working on myself and taking that time to nurture myself and started meditating and writing and going to workshops and seminars and all that, that my heart came back, that calling came back because when I was trading, I felt like I wanted to die. Like there was that moment in my
Oh,
kitchen. I don't know if I shared that with you ever. Like the actual moment, there was a moment in my kitchen. It was like December of that year, of that big year, and I ended up on my kitchen floor. This was the year I was like, I just made $1 million, and I'm like,
okay.
I'm
This is
sitting.
really important for people to hear.
Yeah, I was in my kitchen, rocking back and forth in a fetal position, feeling like I wanted to die, and I'm going, what's going on? Like, I just made $1 million. I'm living the American dream. I have a penthouse. I got a Porsche. I got a Steinway. I
Right.
got all this wardrobe and
Ooh.
fancy stuff. And I wasn't like, I wasn't worth 100 million or whatever,
But
but it was
still,
for
the
being, a
definition of success
twenty-seven-year-old
and
kid,
oh,
right?
so young. Yeah.
I was so young. And I sat there and I'm like, what is going on here? Like why? I've done everything I'm supposed to do. The American
Yeah.
dream. I got all this stuff. And that started it. That started my process, and I was just like, I need to, and that's where the universe opens up when you're ready, right? So I started
Yes.
looking. I met a girl. She turned me on to, I think it was Wayne Dyer or someone like that. This whole thing, and
Yep.
that started me off, and that started the whole journey. And so as I was out, and the journey goes on forever because it's been decades now.
Yes.
As I moved forward into my own healing and my own self awareness, and my own discovery, the what was all the stuff that I shoved down, like all that artistry and creativity and wanting to be, the music and the comedy and the storytelling and filmmaking. And it was all just calling me and calling me. And
Yes.
I kept putting it off. I kept putting it off. I didn't believe in myself yet. And I was like, still, because I didn't share the other side of the story where I went like broke like 3 or 4 times trying to like, because I was like, I'm done doing this other stuff, but I didn't have
Right.
the full path yet, the full
That's
mission that
okay.
was
You knew
going
what you
on.
wanted to leave, but you didn't
Right.
have the fully formed.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
I always say, are we allowed to use any curse words on the show or is
No.
this a left show? Okay. Well, I'll just use a fun word.
Okay. Thank you.
So I have a saying that when one door closes, another one opens, but the hallways are yeah. So it's like,
You can
so
say
the
that.
hallways,
Actually, that
yeah,
sounded really bad.
the hallways are the unknown factor. Like the
Yes.
old's no good, but you don't have. It's like Mel Robbins talks about the bridge, right? You're coming over the
Right.
bridge. So anyway, long story short, I went through this. So as I dove back into my soul and my creativity, I'm like, am I a singer songwriter? Am I a screenwriter? Am I a filmmaker? Am I a host on a late night show? Am I, um, you know, the whatever else I was doing, writing and improv, just all these different things. And then finally, after spinning around, you realize when you do this over a gazillion years of your life, you're like,
Yeah.
you might want to shift the perspective here and start to see like you're not being pulled in like one of those directions. You're being called all of them, which sounds
Right.
completely anti what we do in
The
what our
3D
society
world.
teaches or in the
Yeah.
entrepreneur world.
Focus,
They're like
focus, focus.
niche, focus, focus, tight, tight, right?
Yeah.
And so finally, I had a friend in LA who was in Hollywood, and he goes, "Dude, you need a variety show."
Variety.
Because you got this energy, you've got the host energy,
Yeah.
you've got all this consciousness, you've got your comedy stuff, you're funny, you're hilarious, you're lit up, and you're a great people person and connector. And I love relationship building, and I love
Yes,
meeting
you do.
amazing people, and all these different gifts. And it's like, so this late night show idea, basically, it stemmed from that. I'm like, I could take a clean slate. The name just came. I don't even know where it came from.
It's
Honestly, it must
amazing.
have just channeled in because it's been around for quite a while. I mean, this concept started 3 years ago, and the idea started before that. And we're just getting to launch phase right now because we're in the second phase of it with our new production, like
Right.
And but that name was around for a while, the Conscious Late Night Show and Variety Show. And I'm like, oh, because it's like I can do music, I can do my spoken word poetry, I can
Right.
hang out with the coolest people on the planet, I can showcase everyday heroes, I
Yes.
can, do monologues, I can do filmmaking and inspirational like Prince. I'm like a kid in the candy store, right?
Yeah,
And so,
exactly.
and this is what I share with the world because that's my own journey. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping other inspire people too.
Right.
But that's how it started because it's like a container of every single thing that I love. And what I've learned is I might not be the Ed Sheeran in the singer songwriter world, or I might not be the Dave Chappelle in the comedy world or whatever,
Ah,
but I'm this at the core, I'm this, I'm all of this. And
yes.
really at the essence of it, it's my energy and sharing my essence and my gifts and showcasing other beautiful beings and their gifts and their voices in the world. So that's how it
Exactly.
started. And to be tr- to be truthful,
But wait, there's more.
on one little extra riff, So I started off doing a summit because I was like trying to build a list and get some of the
Right.
like an event
Markety
style.
stuff. Yep. Hmm.
And what I was told is, and I was watching everybody, and everybody was doing the same thing. They're like,
Yes.
how to like have the best relationship ever. And I'm all for this, but just bear with me. Like, how to lose weight with your 10 best friends. Like
Hmm.
everything was just very, very kind of vanilla, if you will. And
Yes.
I'm like, I'm going in, like, I'm doing the Conscious Late Night Show. Let's go. And it's like, and that's what started it. And that's what I noticed. You know how the universe, you always talk about this too. The universe shows you where there's a door open and what flows and shows you where it ain't. Right.
Yes.
And so instantly, I had people that said yes to that show. And keep in mind, this show it did not exist. There was no YouTube channel, there was no email list, there was no subscribers,
Yeah, but there
there
was
was there was
you.
nothing, and literally just pitching that name, and of course my schmooze, my essence, and my personality, doing that actually drew in people like
Yeah.
Neil Donald Walsh. The first time, like Neil
Yes.
Donald Walsh was one of the first people that said yes,
So
and I was
lovely.
like no resistance, just boom, I'm in.
Beautiful.
And I had some other Grammy people on that show. I mean, there's like different rounds talking about that stuff, but
Hmm.
it just showed me that it was flowing. And even recently, the second version, the people that said yes this time around too were just like blew me away. And not only that, it just allows me to be free. And people come in there and I watch them light up because they're like, I've never been on a show like this. Like they're so happy because it's so much fun and it's so deep. And I'm showcasing them and we're having fun. And then some of them get to perform like poetry and music and all the different things. And this is only the start. And then I'll wrap because I'm rambling.
I love
The
it. I'm
the
just
vision,
soaking it
the
all up.
vision, the vision for this show, my pitch is like it's like Oprah, Ellen, Jimmy Fallon, and SNL had a baby. And that really is because that's everything I
Uh,
stand for. It's everything I stand
I
for. It's
know.
spirituality, consciousness, personal development, entertainment, sketches, like all the things. So it's perfect. No one else could do it, but I got to get
Exactly.
my butt out there and make this thing go because
Keep
I have a big
going.
vision
You've
for it to take it to Netflix and get
It's
this thing
already
really
done.
rocking.
It's already done.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. And for
Yeah.
those of
Thank
you who
you.
are listening and not watching, What you're missing is Scott obviously going on a riff with passion about what he's doing here, and
Arr,
me grinning from ear to ear and nodding over and over and saying yes, 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 because I see it all. I see it, and the way that you're speaking about it is so beautiful. And it is a variety show, but
right,
it all comes within the same sphere, which is you, the essence and the spirit and the creativity and the connection and the fun and the jamming and the, like, all of those things are still all of your essence. It's like taking
right.
everything that you are and exploding it in a supernova in the
Yeah,
most beautiful way, and including other people. So the energy is always fresh because you're creating in the moment, just like we are right here, right? This is
right,
why,
right,
and we've talked about this, um, that this podcast of mine, it's not meant to be just interviewing people. Like, that would bore
right,
the heck out of me. I don't want that.
right,
I don't, what I want is to have conversations that open up
right.
people's hearts and light up their souls and ignite something in them. And that's something that we share, right? Is that we want
100%.
to live our lives with passion. We want to live every second for all it's worth. And in doing so, be the demonstration, the permission, the invitation for others to do the
Yes.
same.
Yes, because it's important. I mean, it's so beautiful, and I know that's what's so great about us, like, kinda riffing every single day in our Facebook
Yeah, we
audio
talk a lot.
messages.
Yeah, exactly.
We do, and but it's I think what you said is so important because it's like it's always been this way, but I think at this time in the world, even now it's more important. The last, like 2 or 3 years, things have they've blown up a lot in different
Yeah,
ways, right? They've
yeah.
imploded. People are scared, people are uncertain. Um, I think also the universe is turning on its juice, and it's kinda like making people's stuff come up more,
You.
right? And I think that this is such a time that there a time on our planet where there's never been more importance on really tuning into your own heart, into your own soul, and to
Mm.
give yourself permission to be yourself and to express yourself and to live your truth and to dig into the shadows and shine a light on it and love
Mhm.
all those pieces that we've been avoiding and
Whew.
distracting and numbing out. And it's like, you know how I feel about self-expression and creativity. And I think there's so
Yes.
many people that are missing out on feeling alive and lit up because they're not from the fault of their own, but just being disconnected from their heart
Yeah, the
their
world
the
does
source
that. The
energy.
3D
It's the
world does
world.
that
Yeah,
to us,
the world's a
right?
little tough. It's a little tough energy out there. But it's also beautiful, like we talk about. Like there's
Yeah.
a lot of darkness, but there's a lot of beauty in the world.
There's a lot of
And
light too. Yeah.
I just think it's so to me, there's just nothing more important than coming home to yourself and coming home to your heart and
Ah,
coming home to your
beautiful.
authenticity and finding that because we talk about it, right? Like when you can actually do it and to be real and transparent and vulnerable, both of us, we go through a lot of things. Like
I was just about to speak to that.
right? We're
Yeah.
not 24/7,
No.
blissed out. Don't take
No.
that for granted. Like we're coming on here going,
Exactly.
"Oh, we're all this all the time."
No, I was
We
just
we
gonna share
are,
that.
we are, but
Yeah.
the difference is we've done so much inner work and we've faced our dragons and we continue to every single
Well,
day,
that's exactly it. What you guys
right?
aren't seeing or hearing is that every day, Scott and myself, and he talks to other people, and so do I, but we are going through the fire, right? We are
Yeah,
like, oh, I woke up sad today, or I'm
right.
feeling really discouraged, or
I had a
frustrated, or
dark night of the
angry,
soul
or
3 days ago,
you
like a
did.
really dark night, which I haven't
Yeah.
had in years and
And so
years and
these
years.
things are being dredged up in us, right? But we're
Yeah,
willing to just sit with them. And we
right.
know that on the other side of that is more joy and more connectedness, coming home to yourself, because those aren't
Yeah,
us. They're part of us and they're in us, but they are not who we are. Who we
right.
are is that what you just were demonstrating so
Yeah.
beautifully, that spirit, that life force. That's the truth.
Yeah, it is. The
And
life force is such a beautiful word for it. We use that a
yeah,
lot because I just recently started doing meditations again that I used to do a while ago from a book called The Way of Mastery,
beautiful.
which is a really cool book. And it talks about it reminds you to when you're meditating to meditate on I am not this body.
mm,
I am not the mind and I am not the thoughts. And I added my own thing. Like I am not even the character named Scott.
whew, exactly. Get
right? And
jitters
I
on
literally
that.
just I sit and I go, I am infinite awareness. I am, I am
Yeah.
consciousness embodied. I am
Yes.
eternal. Like when you start to tap into that energy, it opens, it floods it. And so these practices, right, of meditating and getting lit up and dancing, all the things we do, it clears out and facing our stuff.
Yes.
That actually clears out some of the smog and the dirt and the
Mhm.
rust, and it allows us to feel our natural, because it is true. It's like when you're depressed and people talk about, oh, joy and lit up, you're like, yeah,
It's
whatever,
such a
dude. It's
gap,
like,
right?
but it's
You
like, but
just
when you actually look at some, and I'm not talking about clinical depression, people,
I
so
know.
don't email me. I'm just talking about being disconnected, which causes depression and repression, because we're not in full alignment
Yeah,
with our souls.
literally you're not connected back into what you really are, and it's
Yeah,
painful. That's why it's painful because
exactly.
you're
It's real painful.
disconnected. Yeah, it
Yeah, and
sucks.
and it's all, and the thing is, like, here's the awesome part. First of all, I was going to say that when you start to clear away that stuff, the natural part of us literally does start to pop, and that's where the
Yes.
joy and this like energy that you see both of us having.
Yeah.
We've worked at it for decades, decades.
Yes.
This is not like an instant pill fix, 10-step, 3-step
And
how to
it's
talk to
not, you
class.
can't fake it. It just bubbles up and you
You
can't
got to
even
walk
help
through
it.
the
It
fire.
bubbles
You got
up
to
out
walk.
of you, right? And you're just like, woohoo, you
It's just
can't help
real.
it.
And
Yeah.
there's moments too, right? We talk about like there's those special moments. Like there's fun like being lit up a lot, but
Yeah.
there's those special moments where you're like, whoa. It's like,
Yes.
what just happened? Whirling dervish moment,
I
or
know
like,
you've had a couple of those
some
where
of
you're
those kind
just
of crazy
dancing.
things.
Yeah.
Or
I
like just
remember
start
who was it?
laughing.
It was
Yeah.
either Michael Singer or come on, my favorite Hawkins, who talked about when you are in ecstasy and you've sort of
Yeah.
shed all those layers of lower frequencies, the
Yeah.
universe will dance you, right? It will
Right.
dance you for
Right.
hours and hours and hours, and you won't even like the energy is endless, and it's not
Yeah.
us. We happen to
No,
be
it's our
high energy
spirit.
people,
It's our
but it's not
spirit.
us.
Yeah.
It's just life force energy dancing through us, dancing us, dancing as us, right? And it's
Yeah.
so beautiful. And the reason that Scott and I are so passionate and so um, wanting you to feel this connection too, for those of you watching and listening, is because it feels amazing and it's
It
the
does.
truth.
It
As
does.
Scott says, when you're coming back home to yourself, you feel whole and aligned and you know what your gifts are and you want to be that. And we want you to be that because this is what the world needs. And right now,
100%.
back to you, Scott, this is what you so
Yeah.
beautifully said
Mm.
is this is what the world needs. There's enough pain, there's enough disconnection. Everybody that we can help ignite that little spark and know that you can be happier and you can access your natural joy.
Yeah.
And then it isn't a pipe dream and you can feel good. And yes, there's sucky moments and life happens,
Yeah,
but
and that will never go away, and I think it's so
no.
so important for people to
Yeah.
get that. Those moments, there will always be pain on this planet. Always, always, always. Now, pain is not, you hear that cliche, pain doesn't necessarily mean suffering. Suffering is more
Right.
more of a man-made,
Important
woman-made,
distinction.
whatever.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's like pain, we're going to have pain. People are going to die. We're going to have things come up because, things happen in our life, and they're for our growth, and
Yes.
it's our soul's journey. I came here to experience all this stuff. It's
Mm,
like a smorgasbord. And I use other words on our calls sometimes when
you
it's not so
do.
fun. It's a smorgasbord of like all these emotions and experiences and people and learning and
It's like a
triggers. And
buffet that God
it
created for
is.
itself to
Yeah,
experience all of it. And
exactly.
we are experientially Godding, right?
Exactly. We are guiding. We are
Yeah.
guiding. And yeah, it's just, but I think it's important that people understand, that all of us understand, because I went through a phase in my life. I remember where I was so deep in this. I used to call it like I was like a self-help addict. I still am, but I don't let it own me anymore.
Okay.
Um, but there was a point in my life where I remember I was doing so much, so much, so much, where I like a few things. Like number one, I was doing so many practices and rituals that I didn't have any time for anything else. It was like 7 hours a day doing rituals,
I know
and I'm
people
like,
like that.
there was a time when I went through that, but that was also when I
Wow.
was I was breaking out of my total opposite
And
end of
that's
being a
okay. Yeah,
trader.
it's
So I had to
stage you were
swing it
in.
over, yeah.
Hmm.
But I think what I was getting at, if I remember what my thought was. Oh, so there was a point in my life where I started to go, you know what? There's like in a way, this was a few years back, so things are changing somewhat now, I think, that there was a presupposition
Mm.
because I was saying like I'm doing all the stuff that these self-help gurus are telling me to do, all of it, and my life still kind of sucks. Why? And then I started thinking, well, what's wrong with me? Am I broken? And I started
Mm.
feeling all that
Ooh.
stuff. And then I started to realize when I was doing other starts to work, I started to laugh more and I started to lighten up a little bit. And I remember walking up to my Native American teacher and I said, what does it fit? What does it fit? What does what does it mean if everything starts to feel funny to me? And she goes, that means you're waking up and you're becoming more enlightened because that's why you see all the master teachers laugh a lot. They're full of joy. And that was a wake up call for me. And I remember there was a moment, this has to come through too. So I was on a retreat in Sedona with this Native American group. We were on a vision quest. So I was up out in this like virgin forest. There was no one there,
Mm.
and meditating under the tree. The tree was talking to me. I was like writing journal pages forever, and I got two bits to go with the story that want to come through.
Okay.
Um,
Bring it on.
and the first one was so I'm meditating. I'm on the tree. The tree's talking to me. I'm like in blissed out. I'm in heaven. And then I was so tranced out. Like I didn't know where I was. I didn't know what was going on. And I was not on any drugs. This was just bliss.
That's an
And
important point.
it is because it's important.
Mhm.
I wasn't ayahuasca or anything
Yeah.
else or doing mushrooms.
Yep.
And I started to hear these like breaks in like twigs, like something walking. And I open up my eyes, kind of glossy eyed, and I go, "Oh, what a cute doggy!" I'm like, "Wait a minute! I'm in a forest by myself. That's a wolf!" And it's like I look at him, he looks at me, and we both
Ooh.
go, "Arr!" And he runs that way, and I run this way. And then as I was running down the mountain, I saw a hawk flying over my head. And this was a point in my
Mm.
life where I was like, everything had a meaning.
Meaning.
What does that
Yeah.
mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? And so I walked up to Rudy, who was one of the leaders there, and he said, and I go, Rudy, I saw a hawk. I saw a hawk. What does it mean? And he bends over and he whispers in my ear and he goes, it means you saw a hawk. And then he ran up to the top of the hill and he dropped his trousers and shot me the moon.
Oh
And it was
dear.
like
He's lightening it up a bit.
from that moment, I was like, I got my sense of humor back. I
Ooh.
forgot. So I
Right.
think the message there is twofold. Number one is light and humor and laughing at our stuff is a beautiful thing.
Mm.
And number two is there's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. It's just all about, it's just unwinding. It's unwinding yourself. It's letting go of the programming and
Yeah.
thinking that this thing is real
Right.
because
Not just
it's not.
unwinding yourself, yeah, but all the things that you've been taught and
Right.
programmed with that are running around in your head like loops that keep you from accessing
Yeah.
just the essence that you are, which is amazing and perfect. And yeah, there's absolutely everything is
Yeah.
just fine, just as
And
it's supposed to be.
I think that's a meditation has probably been the biggest key. I think it obviously is all the books and stuff. Like I'm close to 3,000 books probably by now
Mm-hmm.
too. So it's like, it can't help but like
Books and
overflow in
courses
you
and
after,
videos and yeah.
yeah, just all of it. But the meditation for about 30 years now, I think what it does, it just naturally starts to give you get that distance, that little bit of a
Uh-huh.
distance, which gives you the self-awareness.
Yes.
And plus, when you have the emotional intelligence that you get from learning about personal
Mm-hmm.
development and emotional intelligence stuff, then you can start to distance yourself from thinking you're that voice or you're that pattern,
Right.
right? Or you're
Right.
that
Well, you
thing, or you're
start out, yeah.
or
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
the
yeah.
circumstance, or you're the story. It's like you start to
It
distance
gives you a bit of
yourself.
separation so you can
Space. It's a space.
detach a little and observe it instead of thinking that it's you and just how things are, which is can be painful, right? But when you just realize and go,
Yeah.
yeah, the space, the space, the space.
Well, I mean, don't you think I mean, this is my observation that the majority of the world lives as if what they're hearing in their head is who
Yes,
they are.
absolutely.
And
Yes.
and
This is what
that's
we're here to dissolve
yeah,
with these conversations.
it's painful because it's just it's the egoic mind, it's the small self, it's the programming, it's the society. I call it the unawakened societal beliefs pouring in.
Yeah.
And there's no it's like if you don't hear your soul and you don't give yourself space to hear your soul and your heart and just feel that, whew, I'm with you,
Hmm.
that calling, then you don't stand a chance to get out of the loop.
Ah,
And I lived in that
exactly.
loop for a long time, like probably for a good I didn't even start this work till I was like 34. And it took like where I am now between then is like
as
ridiculous.
a
Like I
as a
thought I knew
being.
it all then, right?
Well, of course, because when you're
Yeah,
in that 3D world, like, and you're even when you're, you know what? I'm going to say, even especially when you're starting a personal development journey, you start with
right,
success stuff, right? Like you
right.
said, you're like, okay, rah, 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 achieve, 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 be the best that you can be. But the
Yeah,
definition of best is very different when you're starting your personal development journey. And it always,
right,
in my
right,
experience and with clients too, it does start that way. But that's how you start to access, wait, I'm responsible. What are my thoughts? How am I showing up? And it blossoms or expands if you let it, if you go on long
right.
enough, because you're
Yeah,
becoming self aware that you're self aware into a
right.
spiritual awakening. And
Yeah,
then it starts
yeah.
getting juicy and magical and deep and real and
And
authentic and
and let's get
not easy.
real. Let's get real. The thing is, once you crack that sucker open, it's that magic, the magic
Woo.
and the light and the beauty is there, but boy, there's you're gonna go through some stuff because what
Yeah.
happens is the old version of you starts to die. And I don't mean that
Many. It's
I don't mean that
true.
rudely. It's you will experience multiple deaths on this journey,
Yes.
and it's a good thing.
It
And
is.
the thing is, the ego does its best to hang on and to
Yeah.
hold on to that old story and doesn't because that's why so many people are afraid. Like even if they get lit up and pulled towards something, they'll self-sabotage it because
Yes.
it's like I call it it's like the crabs in the barrel where if a crab
Yeah,
tries to
crabs in a
escape, it
bucket,
pulls it
exactly.
down. So your ego and your comfort zone and your safety literally were like, no, that's unsafe. We can't go do that thing because we don't know what that is.
Right, the
So
unknown
it's
again.
dangerous. So we have to come back here, even if it sucks. And
Right, it's
that's
that, yeah, that
right.
familiarity. I was just thinking this last night.
Yeah.
It's perfect that you brought that up because the familiar feels comfortable, even if it's
Yeah.
uncomfortable,
Even
even
if
if
it's not
it's
good.
like
Yeah.
excruciating and awful and toxic. It's familiar, and somehow that feels like security to a part of us, right? And
Yeah,
so, yeah,
it
as
is, it
even if our
is.
soul is calling us forth and we want to expand, it is that crabs in a bucket effect because it pulls
Yeah,
us back down, and it's okay. It's just patterns, right? Those patterns
right,
have had a long time to build neural grooves, neural pathways in our brains, and it's understandable that those grooves have been over and over and over. Those are just habitual patterns,
right, right, and
and
that's
it's
a key
only
word.
because it's
It's a key word, habit.
unfamiliar that
Mhm.
that unknown feels so scary. But actually only in the unknown can magic show up, can new
Yes,
things and downloads and new windows and doors open, and all the things aren't available to you in those patterns that exist now. So, but we
correct.
do, I will agree, and thank you for saying that. We do go through a grieving process and a holding
Yeah,
on process of letting go of those versions of ourselves that no longer serve where we're going.
and I think it's good to recognize that was very beautifully said. I think it's important, and this is why I always like to say this because there's a lot of people that do paint the rosy picture only, and I think it's really important because again, when people are in a hard place, they don't want to hear how like it's just all unicorns and
Yay,
like
joy. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like because it doesn't connect at all. And what connects with people is like, "Hey, I was exactly where you're at." In fact, I've been doing this work for 30 years, and I just had an episode come up that I haven't felt in 20 years
Right.
the other day, but I was able to pop out of it because I know I have the tools. And
Right.
I
And we
know it's a
both do have a
pattern, or
lot of tools.
and
Yeah.
I knew it was like I knew something got triggered in me that brought up that old wounded little kid that's still a little bit scared in there with certain things.
Hmm.
And
Well, because you're
so
doing a lot, Scott. You are,
I know.
you have
I'm stretching
momentum,
right
and
now.
you're in some really
And
incredible stretchy energy. And
it's
so,
not even
of course,
like,
those little things are going to
it,
come up.
it's this big right now,
Yeah.
and and also it's like it's scary times. There's personal challenges that are going with it. It's not
Yeah.
just the stretches.
Yep.
So that's part of it too. But I think it's just really important for people to know that there is hope. And again, we're not doctors or whatever, but it's like regular mild type depressions and feeling repressed or getting numb and addicted or just or drinking or Netflix and chilling or just watching Instagram reels all day. Like that stuff
Netflix and
is
chilling.
it's going to it wears on you because no matter
Mm.
who you are, there's something bigger for you. You don't have to be as big as us trying to go change the whole universe. You could be changing your family, your yard, your
Yes.
your commute, your
Your
yard. Put
yard.
some new roses in your yard, man.
Yeah, but
Um,
whatever it is, right? Everybody
right. It doesn't
has
matter, but it's
their
important.
calling, and they're
But
supposed to
what I
be
was getting at
different.
is like it's
Yeah.
like you gotta understand that when you're avoiding parts of you, that's where the majority of your pain is going to come from. It just is. And it's
And
scary. It can be
yeah.
scary, and it's also magical because, like you say, once you actually do the thing, you'll
Hmm.
realize how much energy you get. It's like filling a vacuum.
And how much energy you were putting into the resistance of your
Right,
feelings of
right.
like not doing the thing. And it actually takes a lot of energy to hold yourself where you are and back
Yeah,
from what wants to be unleashed through
right.
you. And so that you're, it's actually, there's still a lot of energy there that's pinning you down
A
and
lot,
making,
yeah, because you're holding on. You're holding on
yeah.
and controlling and controlling. And
Ooh,
that's
or
the other
trying
thing too
to.
that that's what also comes with doing this work, right? Is again, the more you meditate, the more you start to, and we talk about this all the time. There's this line between, you don't want to be like so loose that you think you're an enlightened master and your whole world collapses, because it probably will, because none of us are like that far advanced necessarily. Some of
And
us,
we're not in an ashram or a,
we're not in an ashram or
monastery
in
where
a
we
in
can
a
be
yeah.
fed and clothed and not have to
Right, exactly.
function
And
in the world.
so, but then there's, and so like I've gone through those extremes of, like, I felt like I was a monk, and then I felt like I was the grinder, like the success
Yes,
chaser.
as have I.
And then
Yep.
and now I'm coming back, and we still struggle with this. I know we do. We
Hmm.
talk about this all the time. We
Yep.
still struggle a little bit with, okay, well, our soul says this, but the
Like, I
world
just
kind
want
of
to go
works
sit under a
this way.
palm tree and be enjoyed, but
Right.
that's not how it works.
Right. Well, it does, but
It
it's like,
can,
but
but
there's, if you want to like have your family life and do, whatever is your
hmm.
calling, and support yourself and thrive and reach more people, like even the stuff for us to reach more people in the world requires marketing, it requires promotion, it requires things that maybe our soul's like, hey, I don't want to like cut up my videos in 20 pieces and put them on 20 different
Yeah.
platforms, but it's like, otherwise no one knows who you are.
Right.
And
And
so
then what's the
there's
point of
there's
that
this,
purpose if you're not having any impact and you're
right.
not actually
so
fulfilling it?
so it's learning to integrate pieces that fulfill the bigger need. And that brings me to a point that just came through, which is, I did everything backwards in the old days. It was like I was trying to squeeze my little artist and my little, you know, creator into this entrepreneur dude. And
Mm.
I attribute this now. I call it, it's like the divine feminine and the divine masculine. So to me, the divine feminine is the ruler of all, in my opinion. I know all the women are going to love that one, but the divine feminine
I
to me is,
agree.
it's the intuitive, it's the receptive, it's the radiance, the pouring out
Creative
into the
too.
world, and the
Hmm.
creative and all that. And
Yeah.
the masculine is the one that serves that by and this isn't meant to be anything with people in a
No,
gutter,
no.
to penetrate that out into the world, essentially, right?
Yes.
So it's the
Yes.
masculine and
Creates
the
the
feminine.
structure and the
So I
support and
switched
the,
it.
yeah,
So I learned to realize that
doing.
and I'm a guy, right? And I grew up with a Navy guy, like an old school World War II Navy
Right.
guy. So for me to stand here and go, my heart and my soul and my spiritual connection are number one,
Mm.
and the entrepreneur serves that, not the other way around.
Nice. Yes.
And that's where things
Beautiful.
can start to change, and that's where things can
Yes.
start to flip around, you know?
Actually, thank you. Yes, absolutely. And I've witnessed this in you. And I want to actually bring forth something that you were talking about
Yeah,
and thank you for it because in my sphere, in my life, in my journey and experience, um, there's not a ton of healthy masculine energy in this world. And by
right.
healthy masculine, I mean, in connection with who you are and with your heart and here in your purpose and standing strong for yourself and the people in your life and what you're here to do. And
Mhm.
then allowing your connection to your feminine energy, so to speak, to flow as well. And being like, you
Yeah.
have a beautiful balance of that.
Mhm.
And because I know you, I can speak to this. Scott, he's talked about meditating, but he will get up and he will, he takes care of himself, he exercises. Those are
Whew.
masculine
Yeah.
structure pieces that support the spirit that he is in the world. So you are so brilliant, Scott, at taking care of your physical body, taking care of yourself by meditating, care, like you love yourself, you are love embodied, you're here to bring love to the world, and you have this beautiful masculine energy that we need it, we need like that showing up as a man in this world and standing for what you stand for is very, very powerful and potent and needed. And the man that you were when you were trading, Even though you were a
Yeah.
kid, you were in your late 20s, you were in your 20s,
Right.
you could have become the kind of man that contributed to destruction in this world and contributed
Right.
to disconnection, and somehow your soul is so powerful that even at 27 it broke
Yeah.
that pattern, and it was like, no, 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 this is not for you. You are more than this. You are deeper and more powerful as a being on this planet, and there we have other plans for you, right? Whether that was your higher
That's
self
so
or whatever it
beautiful.
was.
That's so
Yeah,
beautiful the way you
but
said that.
you
Yeah.
instead became this, and I am so effing grateful that you did, because you are what our world needs. And
Thank
without
you.
stepping into that, we wouldn't have that energy and that force of nature that you are in this
Mm.
world at this time. And it's such
Thank
perfection.
you. I don't even know if well, I guess I was gonna say I don't take credit for that. It's really its spirit, obviously.
Mm.
But I think, there's saying yes to it and not
Yes.
because we have free will, so we could say, no, I don't
Yes.
want to do that. But I can look at it. It's been a long, painful journey. Painful. It's been a long, painful journey because, I started this in 1994, and it's literally taken me from then until now to really fully embrace why I'm here and who I am officially. Like there's been all the movement all along, but now it's like now it's there. Now it's like I know who I am. I know what's in
Yes.
my heart,
Yes.
and I have a huge vision. People like a lot of people my age and younger are like they're giving up. They're retiring. They're like, I'm done. I worked my 9 to 5. I'm dying. Well, I just like just give it up. And I'm like, people look at me. I'm like, I'm lit up. Like I got a
Yeah.
vision that would choke a horse. Like how big it is right now. But I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't know if I have enough time to do it because it's like I'm
Exactly. It's
not
like, oh no, time's running out, but we've got all the
right.
energy and
Right.
all the
It's like
ideas, and yeah.
but yeah, like I have dreams and visions that are epic and massive, and it's like
Yes.
that's because I repressed a lot of them for decades. I repressed my voice. I repressed
Yeah.
my music. I repressed my creativity, my expression. Repressed speaking my truth
Mm.
and share and being myself and not worrying about using f bombs. But I won't on this show because I love Shauna.
I
But it's
appreciate
like,
that.
but
It's not
yeah,
a,
but
yeah.
but it's like in my
We can do that.
I
We do that in private.
I know. It's like I embrace that I have an irreverent side. I have this beautiful side. I have this big heart. I am who I am. And this is my message to the world.
Yes.
It's like quit dimming your light, quit shoving your
Yes.
voice into the basement. I always talk about it's like we shove our souls and our souls' voices in the basement in a dark, cold basement with
Ouch.
duct tape around over its mouth. And we
Oh.
just try and put it off. And it's as
Oh,
painful
that's
as
rude.
what your just reaction just was. That's what it
Yeah.
feels like. And I
Thank
have
you.
lived that. I have lived that. I know. And it's like I can tell you that, yeah, it might not be an easy fix. It might not be an instant turnaround, but that's part of life. And everybody wants the easy fix, and there is no easy fix. What's easy or not easy is the commitment to show up and give yourself
It's
permission.
simple. Might not be easy, but it's simple.
Simple,
You decide,
simple,
you
but it takes
commit, you
work.
show up. That keeps
It takes
coming up for
work.
every conversation. Show up. Have your
Yep.
heart open. Be your authentic self. Like there's
Be
no time
be
anymore. I mean,
available.
time isn't real,
Yeah.
right? But
Right.
that's not what we're talking about here. For this time and space reality that we're living in right now, show up, show up,
Yeah.
show up. And that's all it takes. We don't know where this conversation is going to go, right? We don't know who it's going to touch. We're just showing up with our hearts wide open. And
Yep.
on this podcast, on your show, whatever it is, fully, fully, fully with all you've got, show up. We weren't
Yeah.
taught that unless
No.
we were showing up to like crush it, you know? That's not what this is
No,
about.
there's a difference between although you know what, it's funny because I am embracing some of that show up, not necessarily crush it, but what I've learned is like I went into the too receptive visionary mode for a while. I was living
right.
kind of in fantasy land, these big visions. But then
Ooh,
if you really
sorry.
looked at my day, what was I doing during the day to actually make any of that happen? So part of my journey is actually taking that part of myself now and bringing that into a disciplined,
See?
focused,
Masculine.
showing up. But
Yep.
it's showing up for yourself. I think everybody needs to show
Yeah.
up for themselves, including the feminine.
Yeah. If you don't create
But
anything, then you're not going to have the
and
impact,
we're
right?
here to
And
create. And if you don't create, you're not gonna feel fully expressed. And if you're there's just I just know like I know that one of the biggest reasons there's so much pain in the world, number one, besides being disconnected from our hearts and not being taught to go there and listen
mhm.
to it and breathe. And a lot of it also comes down to me, like the other stuff you were saying, like to me, it's like I'm like 95% raw. And I've been vegan for 25 years and I have
Ah,
more energy than I ever. And I
right.
exercise high intensity exercise every single
And you
day.
make sure you go for a walk,
I walk
you
5
get
miles a day.
outside, you love nature,
Yeah,
you absorb it all, you're
all of it.
present. Yes.
And there's green juices and smoothies and
Yeah.
like all the stuff. So it's like to me that's all life force. That's
Yes.
part of it. It's not just the
You're
meditation. You could be
supporting
300,
yourself in that way.
right? I was gonna say if you're 300 pounds, no judgment, sitting on a couch meditating, you're probably not going to be fully connected as much because
Mm.
your body's tired. It's tense. It's covered with things. But anyway, so number one, the connection to life force energy and giving yourself that channel, and number two is we're so busy watching Instagram and YouTube and watching videos and mostly just mind numbing stuff. Let's get real. It's like
Intentionally so.
I watch like a lot of YouTube videos, but they're personal development, positive
Yeah.
stuff, or trying to learn a new skill.
Yeah.
But
You're
the other thing,
nourishing, nurturing your
I'm
mind.
like, if you're not, and I guess I'm really passionate about this because I know, because I lived this and I know the pain of it and the regret of
Mm.
like, if you're not expressing yourself and being creative in some fashion and not just consuming, you're hurting.
Ooh,
You're
that's a
just,
really big distinction. Creating
oh,
versus consuming.
it's huge. I mean,
Yeah, that's
I've learned this
connection
years
and flow
ago.
versus like disconnection and pain right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Consuming is such
100.
a driving force in this world, but I don't think it's our natural driving force. It's
No.
definitely not. It's been programmed into us, and it's actually escapism from the pain, right?
Yep.
Of actually being disconnected and not
Facing.
expressing as the
Yeah.
creative beings that we are. And
Exactly.
we avoid that pain because we think it's just this chasm that will kill us. And I remember, you just brought up a memory. I remember,
Yeah.
wow, a time when my mom said to me, "You don't feel your feelings." And I was like, "Oh," I was totally numb. I was not in a good place. This is many years ago, and I
Sure.
remember checking into a hotel and journaling. And gosh, I forgot about this. What I said was, I am afraid that if I dive in and let these feelings surface, I will drown. It will overwhelm me and I will die. That's how
Wow.
scary our repressed
Yeah.
lifetime of repressed feelings are. And I
Yeah.
was not in a good place, not like really bad place. And this was in my 20s also. And I remember that hotel, and I was just one stay, but I just went down to the water and I just stayed there for hours and hours and hours and I let it all out. And it didn't kill me. It healed me because I was
Right.
holding all of that inside. And so the pain that we're afraid to feel is actually what's killing us is not feeling it, is repressing it and keeping it in
Right.
our
Well, that's the
bodies.
scary part. That's the scary
Yeah.
part that most people this is so key.
Ooh,
Thank
so
you for
big.
sharing that. This is probably the biggest
That
piece
was a
of
floodgate
wisdom.
of healing right there.
No, I got it. I got
I
it.
know you do.
This is a huge piece of wisdom that like this is probably the biggest piece of wisdom we could share in this world right now is that the majority of people, so in my opinion, again, now there's pain in the world outside us, right? Like that's,
Yes. We're not, yeah.
the
That's not
government,
what,
media's
yeah.
crazy stuff,
That's
right?
not what we're talking about. Yeah.
I'm not going there. I'm just saying, but there's
I
pain in
know.
the external world that makes us
Yes.
feel scared and all this stuff
Yeah.
and programming. Then the biggest pain, in my opinion, comes from the internal, from the
Hmm.
disconnection. And here's the thing: the majority of people, because again, maybe they don't. It comes down to two things: they either aren't aware that it's possible, or they
Hmm.
literally don't want to deal with their shadow and their
Yeah.
darkness and their pain. And so this is why you see people numbing themselves out with food, with Netflix
Netflix,
and
gambling,
social
sex,
media,
social media,
you
working
know,
hard.
yeah, being a workaholic or going out and partying all the time. Like
Yes.
when you can sit with yourself and literally just sit there and feel that pain and let it talk to you. And here's the thing I told one of my clients the other day that is a distinction, but it's like another one of those things. It's like, who's observing that part of
Mm.
you? It's not you.
Right. That
It's
separation
it's
again.
it's
It's
the
trying to
infinite
show
in
you stuff that's
you.
in you.
It's if you can sit there and like, let me hold the space and be the
Hmm.
infinite higher self right now,
Yeah.
and to that part of me and say, what is that pain? What do you have? What do you need to tell me? Because it's like listening. It's like avoiding a little kid, right? We hear that all the time.
Yes.
It's like, would you beat up your little child,
This
would
kid
you
is
avoid them?
screaming and
Would you
crying and in
right.
anguish, and you're just like, no.
Right. And that's the
Yeah.
self-sabotage. And
Hmm.
here's the kicker. When you actually love that part, that
Yeah.
pain, that voice, let it speak,
Yes.
it will start to soften,
Yes. And yeah.
right?
Part of the
And it
pain is
won't
it's so unheard. It's in you.
right.
It's in
That's why it's
you.
self-sabotaging you. That's why it's
Yeah.
causing so much
It's
pain in
kicking
your
up a
body
fuss for
because you're not looking at
sure.
it. Yeah, and that's
Beautiful.
the I hate to say that, that's kind of like that basement analogy and like locked in the basement.
Right.
You're
Right.
and but it's key for people to know that if you're consuming all the time and you're watching and you're just checking out and trying to get the dopamine hits of social media or a drink or whatever,
Hmm.
and you're not and you're but you know in your heart and soul when you're sitting in your bed or waking up in the morning or falling asleep, you know what's going on in you. You know if you're being authentic to yourself. You know if you're
Yes.
lying to
We
yourself or
all
if you're
know.
avoiding your truth. That's those moments especially, right? Because we're in that moment of in between sleep and dream time and all
Mm.
that. And it's like that's when you like it's like that's like looking at yourself in the mirror. And I can
Right.
tell you, and that reminds me of Mel Robbins. To this day, I still do her high five habit in the mirror. And can I tell you, decades ago, like I don't get it now, but decades ago, I'm like, people, you can't look yourself in the mirror in the eyes. Like people like they can't look at
Right. It's like you're
themselves.
hiding from yourself, and it's so obvious when you
You
look in the
like
mirror. You're
like
like,
shame and embarrassment and all
oh,
this
that's so
negative energy.
beautiful.
And it's like, and now I just stare at myself. I'm like, dude, like you're the best. I love you. You got this. Let's go.
I
Let's
do
go.
too.
Right.
I know
And
that feeling of looking in the mirror and all you're noticing is, oh God, my hair and my face.
right,
Like now I
right.
look in the mirror and I was like, oh, I love you so much. For
Yeah.
real, you guys. Like for who's listening and watching, it is possible to go from like honestly hating or feeling disconnected from what you
Yeah.
see in the mirror or trying to dress it up to look a certain way in the world to actually just seeing your own spirit with so much love and just flowing love right into that
Yeah.
reflection in the mirror and
Yep,
seeing it back at
because you
you.
realize it's like you realize your human suit. Like, I can hear the
Yeah.
voice in there going, "Hey, man, your human suit's getting a little bit, getting a little bit out there." It's like that thing, but it's like my brother and I talk about this too, and that's been such a beautiful development, as you know. Like, just my
Yeah.
relationship with my brother
It's
has
beautiful.
blossomed,
Hmm.
and we talk about the human suits and the spirit and the eternal and inside of us, and it's like it's just such a different experience. Like I've watched him grow so much. It's just so beautiful to witness. And our
That's
relationship that we were so distant our entire life. And like since 2020, we just came together and it's just growing and growing and we laugh and we play and we go deep and so beautiful. And his heart's
uh
opened up so much because he went through some pain,
you
so
have
he
not just witnessed this, you have called
yeah,
it forth by being the man that you are, unequivocally, unapologetically, to this is an example. So your brother was not like that at
yeah.
all, right? He wasn't, his spirit wasn't open, his heart wasn't open. I mean, he loved his family and whatever,
Yeah,
but
no, he's a
he's
great
not
guy.
the
He
same.
just
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. But
Yeah.
you were disconnected for a long time. He is the macro to what's going on inside of you. And you
Yeah.
being this, you stood as this stalwart lighthouse of a demonstration to him that he finally just was like, okay. And he leaned in and now he is
Well,
opening up.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I was gonna
Wait,
say
please let
oh,
me
go ahead.
finish though, because
Yeah,
it's really
go,
important.
go.
What I'm
Yeah.
saying is, you as an awakened man have been
Yeah.
responsible for, and he's also on his own journey, right? He's sovereign, but I'm just saying, your spirit and how solid you are in what you are now is what catalyzed that awakening in him because he
Mm,
loves you. And now there's another awakened man on this planet
yeah.
in your brother, and that is a beautiful thing. And I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
it's
I did not mean
beautiful.
to interrupt.
Oh, no, I didn't wanna
Please,
interrupt you either because I know sometimes we can all do that because 'cause we're so lit up.
get
Um,
excited.
I was just gonna say, I think his initial part of it I mean, he was into spiritual stuff way back in the day too, he just kinda let it
Okay.
go. But what happened, I think what as long as we're on that conversation, what cracked
Hmm.
him open is he had a very painful personal challenge in his life. His He was married for 27 years, and his wife just, "I don't wanna be married anymore," out of nowhere.
Okay.
And so that cracked him open, that
Rock
took him
bottom will
out.
do it.
It took
Pain.
him out,
Hmm.
right, which and I've been to rock bottom 3 or 4 times, so I get
Yep.
it. So I think that's what started him, and he did a tremendous job. I wasn't really there for him during this time, which is part of where I felt shame and part of where I felt like, "I wasn't there for you, man. I'm really sorry for that." Like, I didn't I wasn't there. And we've
Mm.
that's part of our healing process is we were able to
Mhm.
like talk about where we didn't help each other or support each other. And I always felt really uncomfortable with him before. I've always felt like he
Woo!
was judging me
Right.
because I was so different. And now we have almost everything in common. I mean, he's we have a few
Ah,
different
your
like
brothers. Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful.
yeah,
Thank
it's
you. I mean,
beautiful. It's
do you know how
beautiful. I
few
mean, he
men say that they even want to be there for other men? Like, you don't
yeah,
know because you're living it how unfortunately rare that is, although it's more and more common
yeah,
now. It's a
yeah,
really, really
it's
powerful thing
beautiful.
what you and your brother are bringing to this world.
It is, and it's really opened up my heart a lot because it's
Hmm.
like it's done so much healing, like all the old kid stuff and the little thing. Because he wasn't really around when I was younger, and he was off on his own path, and even during our adult years, there was some stuff we went through, and he's always been like, he works for people, and I've always been more of an entrepreneur. So well, I always felt like we had some of that, and I've gone through my ups and downs and struggles where he's kind of been straight up and just gets bigger and bigger because he's been riding the wave.
Okay.
And so I'm like, well, I used to be the big huge success in the family. Now I'm like, I'm the guy
Mm.
that's like, whoa, let's go on this horse ride for what? it's like,
It's
but it's
all
like, but I,
perfect.
but I'm also like, I'm the most lit up too, so that's cool.
Yes,
But
exactly.
because I'm plugged in. That's
Yes,
the
you
most
are
important thing because money can come and
plugged
go, but
in.
plugged in. Ooh, that feels
That's
good.
a beautiful phrase. Yeah. Gosh, let me check on
Yes.
the time here. Wow, perfect. See, it's almost an hour. It's perfect.
It's easy.
I
I've
love
had
it.
people on my show. We had one call, one conversation on my show that went almost 3 hours. I was like,
Oh,
holy
that's
moly.
gorgeous. I like
I
to keep it
know.
around an hour just so
No,
it's,
I know.
that's what I like to have it
Mine are
as.
mostly
But
an
yeah,
hour.
we could, yeah, and
Mine are mostly an
obviously,
hour
Scott, we
too.
could talk all day and
Yeah.
we do.
Yeah. Well, it's up
Um,
to you. However long you want it to be.
well,
I'm cool
yeah,
either
I
way.
guess
So
I will start to wrap it up, but I want to know,
yeah.
if there's anything that you would like to share, because I guess I'll preface that by saying one of the things, okay, just trying to explain this to people who don't know you, that just my perception and what I know of you is that one, you just want to show up and be creative and be lit up, but also you want to jam with people. And also
Right.
you're aware that this gift of who and what you are is, um, you have the capacity to teach people and to draw forth things in them, ignite that spirit in them, have them want to learn how to express themselves and use their
Right.
voice and feel alive and all of those things. So I know that this is a
Yeah.
balancing act for you, because what
Yeah.
you really want to be doing is just like show up and be lit up. But the things that make that happen include, people, right? Jamming with other people or helping clients do things. So,
For
what do you
sure.
want people to know? Who do you want to call into your life right now?
Yeah.
What's going on? Just to wrap this conversation up.
Yeah, it sounds like you're besides being beautiful and supportive and sharing your view of your one of your besties. I'll call you my bestie, but that's all right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I look at it from a couple perspectives. Like you hit on a couple things. Number one is my lifelong dream has always been to be the artist and entertainer. And
Right.
I think what's happened with that, with doing all this work and going through all these hills and peaks and valleys, is now that's become where I'm like, I have so much to share that there's more to it than just me just doing it through art and music and film and things like that. So
Mm.
my so it's two pronged, but it all hits in the core, like you're saying. So the the show part, what I'm looking for there is to create. I mean, the vision I have for that literally is what I said, but my own version of it. It's like the Oprah, Ellen, Jimmy Fallon, SNL had a baby thing where it's just like this absolute beautiful. It's not just conversations. I love those. Those are a huge part of it, but it's
There's more to it.
showcase
It's action.
showcasing other
Yeah.
guests and getting those kind of like, celebrities and cool people on the show. And we've already had, Grammy award winners and Emmy award winners
Yes. It's
and Neil
amazing.
Donna Walsh and Sonia Choquette and Susie Batiste, who owns
Woohoo.
Poo-Pourri, billion-dollar CEOs, like it's all
Yes.
over the place. Amazing people.
Yeah.
But my vision is like it's like I see all these late night show segments and my own
Hmm.
version of it, like not really what they're doing.
Nope.
Like I
Of
want I want to
course.
do short inspirational short films, and we're going to do like this comedy sketches, but they have meaning to them, and they're like sharing real stories and stuff. And
Yes.
I want to showcase everyday people, and and then I want to do my own. I want to share my own music and my own poetry and my own comedy and all these. So to me, like that's that big vision. So I mean, my big thing right now is like looking for sponsors and executive producers and funding. I call it
Right.
fun, capital FUN underscore DING,
Amazing. Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Funding for that show as we get to this, so we can get to the next level with it.
Perfect.
Because it's a huge vision and it's not
Yes.
just about fun. This is literally about changing the world. Like I have a huge
Mhm.
mission and vision for that.
Changing
And then
entertainment, what we use ourselves,
it's
like
transformational
real
entertainment.
healthy,
It's
gorgeous entertainment. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And
it's like
fun.
basically
Yeah.
helping people, helping people drop into their hearts and remember
Yeah.
who they really are. Like that's
Inspiring and
the
igniting
intention of
and
the show and to entertain them
beautiful.
and because I think personal development can be too dry. And I always say it's like I'm bridging the gap between self-help or self-development, what everybody wants to call it these days, and Hollywood. I'm like,
Yes.
we're bringing the cool, hip, and fun to self-help and the heart, soul, and humanity to Hollywood.
Exactly.
So that's the cool beans of that.
That's
Um,
that's you right
so then
there.
on the other side, now because of who I become and I understand the pain and the struggle of that journey, I have a brand called the Creators Playground. And that's just launching right now as well in different facets. There's a community, there's masterminds, there's live events, live shows,
Amazing. Yeah.
beautiful things, merch, and
Yeah.
the community is going to be crazy
Yeah.
because it's literally just going to be like it's going to be like a show essentially.
Right. Well, the
That's the big vision
energy and
for
the
that.
collaboration and the
Yeah. And
co-creation is just
so and it's called
fabulous.
the Creators Playground because like my heart, I go out to everybody. I love everybody and I want to help everybody. But my heart goes out to the heart-centered and the conscious
Mm,
creators and entrepreneurs and people that want to use their gifts and use their voice to heal themselves and change the world with their presence. And so with that, I'm always looking for people to support in that environment, in all those different containers. And so that's more of like where
beautiful.
I'm pouring into them and holding space for them directly.
Yeah.
And the show is the same energy, but it's more my creative expression.
Right. And collaboration with
Right.
other
Collaboration with
artists, other
Ed
artists, other
Sheeran and John
creators. And
Mayer and stuff like that.
yeah. Woo!
I'll say that
Santana
too
would
because
be good in there too,
I
right?
oh god, yes, 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 yes,
Woo!
Santana.
Yeah.
And I'll share that one win that I had on the show because I don't know if it's going to happen,
Please.
but
Yeah.
it's fun.
Absolutely.
So I got an email, as you know, a couple days back that they saw me inside one of Ryan Tedder's containers that he does. Ryan Tedder's the lead singer of One Republic, and he's like the best-selling songwriter for like Beyonce, Ed Sheeran, and Taylor Swift, and whoever Jay's like whoever name the world. He's written
Right.
songs for them. Anyway, so they reached out to me. They said we're looking to put a this program together of this small little group of creators and we want you to apply and we want you to and we'll put you side by side with Ryan Tedder, Charlie Puth, her. If you're not familiar with her, she's
Right.
like a bazillion Grammy time award winning artist. And I'm just like, what? It's like,
Of
and I'm like, and
course.
they want me to share my voice and my singing and songwriting, basically, like how I do that behind the scenes, because that's what it is now. Their whole thing is like behind the scenes. How do you write a
Right.
song from start
And
to
I
finish?
get that privilege, I have to say, for everyone
You
again
do. You
watching
hear
and
a lot of
listening. Like,
songs that are not out there
literally,
yet.
this guy will wake up and just sit at his piano and riff, and a song will come. It's incredible. Your
It does
raw
pour
talent
out. It
is
it
so
does.
beautiful because it isn't just
Yeah.
little catchy things, because you have so many beautiful influences that help you write a catchy tune, but it's
Yeah.
also like the it's just soul touching stuff. So it's like such a beautiful combination of catchy, awesome music with the soul
Yeah.
resonance, the
It is very
frequency.
soul.
It's
Yeah.
You're amazing.
And
I'm
it's
so
funny.
excited for you.
And thank you for that. Thank you for that. I was gonna say it's like again, here's the ego voice coming in. Like partially sometimes I'm like, oh, I want to write songs like Andy Grammer, all lit up and whatever. And I'm
Right.
like, but my music comes out, it's like it touches your soul.
Yes.
It's
Every
a
time.
different
It like tears
vibe. Now
start
maybe
bursting out my eyes.
maybe maybe it's because
It's
I
the
don't have a
frequency.
producer and I haven't gone to that level. So maybe I will do some because I do want to do some upbeat songs and I love to rap. So let's
No,
just
but
get
you
real.
do, yeah, and your spoken word stuff, and your
Right.
trust
But I
me, it's
haven't,
all
so
exactly as it needs to be.
it's like you said, it's like I have a very raw talent that I've had for years, but now I'm
Yes,
stepping into like really
you
making
are.
that next level as well. So anyway, that
Amen.
was a fun thing.
Beautiful.
And to put a bow on that, I think that shares about what we talked about where that wasn't a goal. I didn't set that.
Right.
That just showed
You
up.
showed up. You showed up so
Yeah.
that could show up. And like we said over the last few months, the doors are going to open. We just don't know what they are yet. Right. And
Right.
this is one
Right.
of those things where you've been creating momentum. You've been being who you are. And
Right.
this showed up
Right.
as a result of that. It just
Right.
takes
And
time
some
for
of the
things
other
to
stuff
coalesce.
that I was
Beautiful.
trying to make up here wasn't flowing so well.
Right.
So yeah.
Exactly. So we
Yeah.
surrender and we be exactly everything we can, and everything
Yes.
else does its part. We're just doing ours.
Yes. Yes. We are
Mwah.
a open vessel of the goodness.
Yes, the goodness. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. I'm so grateful for this conversation, and I just know it's going to touch so many people.
I love
So
you, sister. I
beautiful.
love you.
I love you, brother. I love you
I,
so much. I'm so
I
grateful.
I
All right.
appreciate. I'm glad we finally got to do this.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to run the little outro, and I will see you momentarily. So
Okay.
much gratitude. Oh,
See you in the
beautiful.
green room.
See
All right.
you.
Bye.
Wherever you are and whatever you're doing, I hope you enjoyed this episode and it helped you open your heart, feel inspired, and know that we are all connected. Please subscribe and share so this work can touch more people. This is how we co create the world we want to live in. Thank you so much again for joining us, and talk to you next time.
Do, 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 do.